Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here to talk about my Sephora VIB sale recommendations, and I thought while I was telling you what I recommend, I'm actually going to get ready with you. And so whenever I get to a category that I'm actually using on my face, if I have a few recommendations other than what I'm using, I will also talk about it then. So without further ado, let's just jump in. I am pretty sure my wish list video went up before this, but if I decide to put this up first, I will put all the information about the sale as far as when you can shop depending on what tier you are within the Sephora VIB tier system down in the description box. So check that out if you're not quite sure when you're able to get the discount. I'm going to use a primer today just to show you this category. One that I love and always recommend is the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm not going to use it today because I used this in my last Sephora recommendation Get Ready With Me video in the fall. Everything is still very relevant in that video, so I'm going to put it up in a card so that you are able to go check that out as well for even more recommendations. But today I'm going to use the Tarte Glotion Skin Perfector. So my lights might be completely washing that out, but this is fairly new and I have actually been enjoying it. It does have a little bit of a tint to it, but I would not say it's the same kind of coverage that the Charlotte Tilbury provides, and it does only come in one color versus many different colors in the Charlotte Tilbury. And I do put this one all over my face. Typically when I use the Charlotte Tilbury one, I will kind of keep it just in the areas that I want highlight to peek through if I'm not using it as an actual foundation for the day. But this one I feel like has a little bit less coverage than the Charlotte Tilbury one, so I put it all over. It's just a really pretty glowy primer. If you know me, you know foundation is like, it's just my thing. I love it. So I could probably go on and on and on about foundations that I love and recommend from Sephora, but I picked kind of my top 4 just looking at my collection right off the bat. If I have talked about a foundation in the past that I have loved and you can get it at Sephora, by all means, that has not changed. This was decided kind of on the fly because I feel like my gut instinct is the best instinct when it comes to choosing these things. 3 that I'm going to not use but want to mention are the Lancome Tint Idol Ultra Wear. I've done a couple of videos using this and reviewing it. I love it if you have more oily skin, if you just want a super long lasting but not overly flat matte foundation, this is great. The other 2 are from Koh Gen Do. This is the Aqua Foundation, and then this is the Moisture Foundation. Again, many videos that you can search on my channel where I have used these. The Moisture Foundation, while it does provide moisture, I don't find is as glowy on my skin as the Aqua Foundation. They just sit a little bit differently. So definitely check out my reviews and uses of these if you're interested, but I love them both. And I am actually going to be using the Dior Air Flash Spray Foundation. This is not new by any means, but as I was looking through my collection, I really wanted to focus on recommending things that A, I love, and B, are going to be beneficial in picking up during the sale, meaning you're going to get a legit discount on it because it tends to be a little bit pricier. So you save those items for when you can get a discount on it. And since this is Dior, it's not a cheap foundation. It is a spray foundation. For me, it tends to go a little bit faster than a traditional liquid, but I love it all the same. So you gotta shake it up really, really good. I am in the color 3N. There are so many different ways you can use this. My preferred method is to spray it on my hand, pick up the product with a brush that way, and then apply. You could spray it directly on the brush. You could spray it on your face, but that's not the way I would recommend it. It's just way too dirty that way. Dirty, messy. I didn't mean dirty. So spray some on the back of my hand, pick up on my brush, and then stipple it into the skin. This is a super natural looking foundation that lasts forever on the skin. Very easy to apply once you find your preferred method. And I find it's a good solid medium coverage. Some would even say you could build it to a full. But just that little bit that I put on the back of my hand has covered my entire face. I do not feel the need to go back in and apply more. I don't really feel like I need any more coverage anywhere. So I'm very happy with that small amount that I put on the back of my hand. Let's talk about concealers. The last concealer that I used in the video, my last recommendations video, was the Pat McGrath Labs Sublime Concealer. I still absolutely adore this and highly recommend it. I also absolutely adore and highly recommend the Kosas Revealer Concealer. They just recently expanded the shade range in this concealer line, and it's just hydrating, non-creasing, been one of my very favorite concealers since the day it launched. I adore this. I also really like the YSL Radiant Touch Touche Eclat. This is the newest addition to the Touche Eclat line. It's been out for a couple of years, but it has a little bit more coverage. Now, don't get confused with that meaning it has full coverage, because it definitely doesn't. But for a medium coverage, really well performing under the eye concealer, I really enjoy this. And being YSL, it's going to be a little bit pricier, so the discount's going to be great. And then the one that I feel like I have been reaching for the most, and is honestly the most affordable out of all of these. So the discount, while still going to be great, this is not that bad to begin with. I think it's $26. It's the Clinique Even Better All Over Concealer and Eraser. Now, it does have an eraser on one side. I don't use this, as you can see. It's just not my thing. But other people I have seen use it and love it. I am in the shade CN40, which is basically my skin tone. That is how I like it. I do not like to go super bright. With my concealers, I find it is much more flattering, for me anyways, to have a skin tone concealer. I have also used this all over the face as a foundation, and it is fabulous. Very, very, very well performing. I would venture to say this concealer has not creased on me once since I started using it. It is so good. I find it to be a medium coverage concealer. I mean, I can still see a little bit of shadow under my eyes. I'm not really into the super, super full coverage concealers though. So I just appreciate how this covers enough for me, but not so much that it's going to get cakey or make me feel awkward, but enough to where I'm not going to feel like I have no coverage, and it just performs so well. Let's let that sink in and head over onto the eyes. I have a few different brands that I recommend from Sephora, but honestly, the eyeshadow opportunities and options are endless when it comes to what Sephora offers. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Charlotte Tilbury quads. I know a lot of people absolutely love these, and a lot of people think that $50-something for 4 shadows is absurd. I get both categories. I completely understand it, which is why the discount's going to be fabulous. 3 of my very favorites are Copper Charge. Looks like this. So pretty. 1 matte, 3 shimmers. Desert Haze, which is all matte. Very, very flattering, and honestly very versatile for only having 4 shades. And I hope that you can still get this one. This is Fire Rose, which to me is a little more in line with her traditional palettes, being 2 shimmers, 1 matte, and then a pop shade. But oh, I love this so much. So those are my 3 favorite Charlotte Tilbury quads. And then of course, the Dior Quints are a pretty penny, great opportunity to get a discount. This is Mitza, which is my favorite out of the ones I have. This is Nude Dress, and this is Rouge Trafalgar, which I also really love, because you know me and pink. Love me some pink. And then finally, Natasha Denona. I feel like everybody always talks about Natasha Denona in these videos, and I love her palettes, and I'm going to be using the Sunrise palette today. Definitely not a new one. I've had this one since the middle of 2019, so a couple of years. But it's one of my favorites. It's one of those ones that I feel like whenever I pick it up, I always get compliments on my eyeshadow, or Chad always mentions that my makeup looks pretty that day. It's a pretty consistent palette for me in looking good with my eye color. It just always works. So I'm going to take Morgan, which is this matte shade right here, on a Refer 15 brush. Put that in my crease. Everybody, has this hair been sticking up the whole time? Y'all. Everybody always asks me what I prime my eyes with. That can be another recommendation. The Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer has been a primer of choice for my eyes for months now. Really like it. I feel like very smoothing on the eyes, matte, so you're not going to get any kind of like luminosity that a lot of people don't want on their eyes. It just, everything blends over it great. Really, really like it. So I'm just going to build this up to the opacity that I want in the crease of my eye. And then I'm going to take an eyeshadow stick. This is the Longwear Cream Shadow Stick from Bobbi Brown in the color Golden Pink. I'm going to put this all over my lid as a base for the shadow that I'm going to be applying on my lid from the Natasha Denona palette. You can see how easy that just glides over the eye. So pretty. I love pretty much, I love every Bobbi Brown color that I have tried. I also really enjoy the Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks. In fact, I'm going to have to be purchasing my third copper from them because it's my favorite shadow stick of all time, and I just ran out of my last one. So that's definitely on the list. Now going back into the Natasha Denona palette, I'm going to take this shade right here called Awakening on my finger. I just feel like her shimmer shades really apply the best with a finger. If you, now obviously, if you're wanting like minimal pigment and opacity and you don't want a ton of shimmer, then use a brush by all means. But when I use these shadows, I want them to pop. So applying them with my finger right on top of that Bobbi Brown stick, which is going to help it adhere to the eyelid. It's going to help longevity. It's going to help that color pop even more as if you did not have the shadow stick underneath. However, you definitely can wear the shadow stick by itself, and you can wear this shadow by itself. I'm just showing you how I like to layer them. I'm going to go into Clove, which is this shade right here, on a rougher number 2. I'm going to put that in my outer corner. This is not rocket science as far as like the technique that I'm using. It's the pretty simple shadow in the crease, shadow on the lid, and then shadow in the outer V. And then I'm just going to blend that out. Now I'm going to try something and have no idea if it's going to work or not. But just to add a little bit more color, I'm going to go into the shade Glory, this really pretty pink shade right here. And I'm going to take my Rephr 29 brush, and I'm going to use that as an eyeliner. Now, obviously, this is lighter than the color I placed on the outer V, so it's not going to show up as much out there. But it just gives, actually, I'm going to eat my words there. It's actually showing up on top of that darker color. And it gives a nice pop of pink right on that lash line. So many of you have said that watching me wear pinks has gotten you to do it too and not be afraid of it. A lot of people will say, wearing pinks will make them look sick. And I'm not saying that's not true for everybody, because I'm sure some people, they really do have that issue, but I think there's just a stigma around wearing pink eyeshadow. And once you learn how to do it in small ways, kind of like this liner, it's just so much fun. I love it. Setting under the eyes, I'm going to be using my Pat McGrath Sublime Under Eye Setting Powder. This is one of my very favorites. This is fairly new. I ran out of the last one, but I feel like it lasted me a long time. It is small, but you need just the smallest amount. And then for powder, I have a couple that I love. I also love the Pat McGrath Labs. This is in light. This is the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Setting Powder. The Shiseido Radiant Setting Powder. And then, of course, the Charlotte Tilbury. Now, I used the Charlotte Tilbury powder in my last one. I think I'm going to use the Pat McGrath. Another recommendation every video is the La Mer powder brush. I love this thing so much. There's something about it, and I know it's expensive, but also remember that tools, they don't expire. I think it's funny sometimes, and look, I'm the same. I'm the last to give any judgment, but I think it's funny sometimes that we're like, oh, I don't want to spend $90 on a brush, but then we'll go spend $90 on a foundation that will eventually expire, whereas if you take care of that brush, it's going to last you forever. Now, that did mattify my face a good bit, as you saw as I was applying it, but what it does is it kind of gets more natural as you wear it. But if you have foundation that's a little too luminous, that is a great option. For bronzers, Love the Bobbi Brown. I have Stone Street and Natural is Stone Street. I've talked about them recently. Love the Kosas bronzer. If you like something that's has a little bit more sheen to it, I have the shade Medium. So that's a Kosas bronzer. Also love the Hourglass. I just had to repurchase the Luminous Bronze Light because I completely ran out of my other one. And out of all of them, the Luminous Bronze Light is my favorite. So and I'm going to be using the Gucci. I'm not sure if I used Gucci in the last video or not, but honestly, it's Gucci. It's not cheap and it's very beneficial to use a discount. I have the shade number 3 and I love this bronzer. I feel like everybody I have seen that has used it, talked about it, hauled it, loves it. Oh, you know what powder I forgot to talk about? Sephora sells Gucci powder now, and I have that one. In fact, I even got it out. I don't know why I didn't show it, but I do really like that Gucci powder as well. And I feel like everybody waited quite a long time for them to start selling it at Sephora because there for a while you could only get it at Selfridges. For blush, Charlotte Tilbury again kills it when it comes to blushes. My favorite is Pillow Talk. I feel like I reach for this one the most. It's a really pretty mauve color. I always talk about Tom Ford Inhibition. So pretty. I can't talk enough about how gorgeous this blush is. It has been in my top 5 blushes since I started doing top 5 videos, if I'm remembering correctly. It just can't be beat. The Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur, I think they sell these on Sephora. And this is in Blurred Buff. Again, another one that always makes it into my top 5 videos since I've gotten it. Love, love, love. And today I'm going to use the Dior Rouge Blush in number 219. Now this one's going to look a little bit different because it's a limited edition packaging that had kind of mannequins. It's a fashion type holiday release, I believe, last year. But they do still sell this color. So I'm going to use this very pretty peachy color that is going to look absolutely perfect with this eye color. So I'm just going to apply that to the apples of the cheek. Really forgiving, very subtle. It's, you know me and my heavy hand. I still don't go overboard with it. I love it. And then as always, I'm going to take the same crease brush that I used and take just a little bit of that blush into the crease of my eye to round out the look. I'm using a cream highlight today, so I'm going to go ahead and buff out my skin with the Hourglass Radiant Light. I think I might need another one of these as well. This is the step where I load up my brush. This is an It Cosmetics brush that you can only get at Ulta in a set, but any duo fiber brush will do. I load it up with product, like I'm not shy at all, and I go ham on buffing my face. I don't want any harsh lines. I don't want too much product on the cheeks, so I really just I'm not shy when it comes to that step. It does not mess up your makeup. If anything, it makes it even more flawless. I don't do it on my forehead because I don't like a shiny forehead, but to each their own. Now highlights. I've recently did a favorite highlighter video, so I'm not going to go through, but 2 of them. One of them is so new, it didn't even make it into that video. But this one I've been talking about a lot, and it is a pretty penny. I believe it's $60. This is the Lila B Skin Illuminator Glisten and Glow, and I believe this is Be Enchanting. I can't ever remember. It's the lighter shade. I have used this a ton lately. I love this so much. And again, $60 is a little bit of a hefty price tag for a highlight. I get it. It is a cream to powder. So I think even if you have combination skin, you like the look of a cream highlighter, you're going to love that. Now on the other end of the spectrum, when it comes to highlighty products, I am going to talk about the Merit Highlighting Balm, which again, I've talked a lot about. In fact, it was in my favorites this past month. This is very different from the Lila B. The only thing that's really the same is the fact that they are both creams. This one is an actual balm, so it's a little bit more tacky. It definitely does not set down to a powder finish. But if you like that, I mean, look at how pretty that is. I'm so impressed with this product. I can't tell you. Very easy to use. Reminds me, honestly, a lot of the Westman Atelier highlighting sticks, but at a much, much more reasonable price. So that is the Mara Balm, and this is in the shade Kava. I'm going to take that same eyeliner brush. I'm going to go into Clove, which is what I used on the outer corner of the eye. Connect those colors. I'm going to blend that out with Morgan, which is what I used in my crease to finish out the eye look on the lower lash line. And then finally for the eyes, I'm going to go into Laurel, which is this shade right here, and use that as my inner corner and brow bone highlight. There is no matte inner corner and brow bone highlight shade for me in this palette. It's rare that I want a matte anyways, because I just like that extra shine. Before I do mascara, I'm going to set the face. I don't always do this, but I wanted to add it so I can show you a product that I really do enjoy. The Airbrush Flawless Setting Powder Spray from Charlotte Tilbury is a very effective setting spray in my opinion, that does not dry you out. It does have added fragrance, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do want to let everybody know. It's to me, it's a legit setting spray. So it's not necessarily a hydration spray. It doesn't give me a huge amount of hydration. It doesn't really aid in like taking the powdery look away from my face, but it does set my makeup down really well for the day. Mascara, I did it off camera, and I used the new Merit Perfect Black Lengthening Mascara. This is a tubing mascara. I feel like for a clean beauty brand, this mascara is fabulous. Not super expensive to begin with, but who doesn't like a discount on top of any price? And I have been enjoying it. And I would say out of the ones that I have been enjoying lately, this is one of the top ones that you can get at Sephora. Now, all we have left is lips, and I honestly don't know what I want to do. Have a couple favorites. The Pat McGrath Labs Lady Stardust is a gorgeous pink lipstick shade. All of these, most of these, are in my nude lip video. The YSL Rouge Pure Couture, I think this is number, what number are you? 10, I think. Really pretty nude color. The YSL Rock and Shine in number 1, I love. Again, I've swatched these all on that nude lip video. I think what I'm going to use today is the Kosas lipstick in Rosewood, which they sent me over like a trio of these small ones. I'm just going to pat that on because I don't want it to be super opaque and dark, because y'all know how I am. So this is how I use darker lipsticks. And since I like a good gloss and shine, I'm going to take the Rock and Shine and apply it over the top. Yes, I like that. I haven't used that combination before, but I do really like it. So that is the completed look of my recommendations for the Sephora VIB sale. Again, check out last fall's because those are all still relevant as far as recommendations go. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, safe, and sane, and then most of all, you go out and have a very blessed day.